Hi, hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenny, and I usually start these videos by saying that I am a knitter living in the beautiful northeast of England. That is still true. I still live in the northeast of England. It is still absolutely beautiful, but I'm not going to be talking about my knitting today, and it's going to be a bit of a strange video because, as many of you noticed, and I'm sorry I haven't answered any comments. If I'm honest, I've just started to go back into YouTube and read some of the comments. Some of you left really lovely comments. I will answer everyone. But as you know, many of you noticed, I kind of disappeared this year, and as many of you guessed, it has been due to my health. And I know that I can anticipate, you guys are so lovely, I can anticipate you saying already, I know that I don't owe anyone an explanation, but I did want to give you a bit of an explanation because I've caused worry, and you know, I've spoken a lot on this channel before about how much this kind of connection means to me, and I feel like part of that is not giving you too many details. I hope, you know, I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, but just to kind of share where I've been. Hey, please don't do that. I'm not going to edit that out. To just kind of share where I've been, and I'm doing a little bit better. I'm hoping to come back and start making videos again. So I also kind of wanted to talk through what that might look like. Less editing. Less editing, because that might be a bit beyond me right now. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. So that's what today's going to be. I'm going to try not to be too rambly, but if I'm honest, I'm struggling with some brain fog, and I am a verbose person to begin with, so it might be a little bit rambly. Obligatory note, if this is your first time clicking on one of my videos, welcome. It's lovely to have you. You are, of course, absolutely more than welcome to stay, but this might be a bit of a weird one to start with. This might not be very interesting if you know, we're hoping to listen to some knitting talk. I also want to, you know, foreground a bit of a trigger warning. You know, there aren't really any girls. There aren't really any too unpleasant details to get into, but I'm going to try not to overwhelm anyone or overshare, but I am going to be talking about chronic illness and disability, and if you know, it's been a pretty brutal year for certainly everyone I know. So if that's just not something you're interested in today, if you know, if you don't feel like listening to that, please, you know, of course you don't need my permission to click away, but please click away. I really, it's not my intention to overburden anyone in a year that has already been so difficult for so many people. So that's where I'm headed. I do have some notes to try to keep myself on track a little bit, so I'm going to be peeking at those. Hopefully not give you too many unnecessary details, but I guess the kind of the gist of it is, I have a genetic condition that comes with a number of comorbidities. I was quite late diagnosed, but am realizing that I have always had symptoms, and I just didn't realize that my experience of being in my body was not a terribly normal experience of being in a body. I mean, there were some things that I knew were definitely not normal, you know, like chronic migraines and stuff. But some things I thought were normal and were not. And I have been operating on according to a kind of boom and bust pattern of pushing myself and getting a lot done and then crashing. And I have been operating according to that pattern, I'm realizing, probably for decades. And it has been getting steadily worse, but it was getting steadily worse so slowly that I didn't really notice, or I didn't give it the I wasn't listening to my body. I like to think that I am a fairly self-aware person, but I'm learning that I am extremely good at ignoring my body, and it has gotten me into some trouble. So essentially, I pushed too hard, and my body gave me a firm line that I crossed. And you know, not that there was any one big event or anything, but just, you know, it all accumulated to be too much, and I have been essentially bedbound since February. I'm doing a little bit better. As you can see, I'm sitting up. You know, it was very humbling. It was very humbling. I think I've always put a lot of pride in my ability to push through things and get things done, even if I wasn't feeling well. And I mean, what a silly thing to take pride in. Girls, come on, come on. Sorry, it's getting to be food time, and they're very excited. I can't remember what I was saying now. I guess I you know, used to take quite a bit of pride in still continuing to do things even when I wasn't feeling well, and that's not something to take pride in at all. So yeah, I was talking about how it was humbling, wasn't I? And that was really difficult. I've had to really reconsider how I think of myself and what I value in myself, and you know, working hard and being good at things has always been one of the ways that I understand who I am as a person, and that all went away for quite a while. It's still kind of gone, to be honest. And that was not easy, but I think it was also just something that needed to happen. And I'm learning to listen to my body more and take things a bit more as they come. Take things one day at a time. That's such a cliche, but you know, like, my body is setting the terms from one day to the other. It's very different. So I wasn't knitting at all. I struggle with, you know, fatigue and pain and breathlessness, which is very frustrating. It can make talking a bit tricky, and brain fog, really frustratingly. I wasn't able to read for large chunks of the last year, and it was a bad year. It's been a strange year, I guess I should say, to not have either my knitting or my reading to reach for. I watched a lot of TV, and I gotta tell you, there's just not that much good TV. I'm bored of TV. Excuse me, please stop. Sorry, it really is that it's food time, and they don't understand why we feed them in this room, and they don't understand why I'm in here and I'm not feeding them. Anyways, so that's kind of what the last, 10 months, 11 months have been. As you can see, I'm doing a little bit better. I am sitting up. I have been knitting a bit. I'm wearing something you have not seen before. I knit the Waiting for Rain shawl by Graph, by Soft Sweater, and that has been a huge delight to be able to knit again, to be able to sit up for a handful, a couple of hours. Most days, really, right now, I'm able to do that. But it's very non-linear, and I'm still very much at risk of pushing myself too hard. But also, it's non-linear. This summer I was doing a little bit better for a little while, and I really don't think I pushed too hard, but I kind of worsened again. So, okay. Lady. I'm sorry for all these disturbances that I'm not going to edit them out, because I just, I don't think I'm going to upload this video if I start being picky about what it's going to look like and stuff like that. They're so good. They don't scratch any furniture, except I don't know why, but they love this chair, which is frustrating because I also love this chair. But anyways, you haven't met the cats either. Anyways, they're throwing me off. This is hard enough. You're throwing me off. So I'm doing a bit better, and I'm really excited I'm really, really excited to be knitting again and to hopefully start making videos again. I've joined a lot of online forums with people who have, you know, lots of the same conditions that I do and that kind of thing. And I read a post that someone made last week where they talked about the hardest thing being kind of feeling like they were falling out of the world. And I feel like this channel has been such a sense of connection to me. I obviously have lots of connection with family and friends, but I think like I have lost that sense of connection to anything outside my home, like to a broader sense of community, and this channel really gives that to me. So that's my very selfish reason for wanting to come back and make these videos again. I'm going to try to be really careful not to push myself too hard, but I know that some of you, I mean, you're so lovely, and in your comments, you know, so many of you are always encouraging me not to push myself, and I appreciate that so much. But I did also want to tell you that, you know, this gives me a lot too. I think it's worth the risk of occasionally pushing myself a little bit too hard to have the kind of joy that it brings me. I feel like sometimes I overuse the word joy, and it must sound like I'm just using it really casually, but I do, like, you know, a day like today where I'm feeling pretty good and I can sit here and look out the window and do some knitting and maybe see a bird, like, that's a pretty excellent day. I've always been pretty, you know, my dad has always joked that my mom and I are incredibly easy to please and very happy-go-lucky, and I think that that has really served me well. I don't want to minimize. I know that you know, obviously I have had real difficulties over the past year and I haven't always been happy-go-lucky. I don't want to diminish that because I know that there are all sorts of people who are in the same situation that I am, or more difficult situations than I am, so I really don't want to diminish that experience. But I also want to emphasize that I'm doing okay. You know, I don't want you to worry too much. I mean, obviously in some literal physical ways I'm not doing okay, but emotionally I'm in a really good place, and I have a great support system. I don't think I've mentioned this already, but you know, like I've mentioned talking to people, but you know, like I have a spouse who, I mean, he just stepped up and he does everything. And he's done it with more grace and patience than I think I would be able to muster if the roles were reversed. And so much love. And I have a really amazing family support system, and I mean, I know it's tricky, you know, I know I look fine. All of my conditions are invisible, and everyone in my life believes me, and everyone in my life is behind me, and that's not typical, sadly, from what I can gather online. So I definitely don't take any of that for granted. Hi, baby. I don't take any of that for granted. So, I think I've said everything I wanted to say. I did want to talk, oh yeah, I did. And the cats. You know, things that are bringing joy. My husband and I, you know, my partner and I both grew up with pets. I grew up with both cats and dogs, and we've really always wanted to get pets, but our lives were kind of busy, and we did lots of moving around, and I did some traveling for work, and, you know, like it just always felt like not the best situation to bring pets into. It didn't feel fair to them. And now we're very, very stationary. And we'll probably be for a while. Please, miss. Please, miss. And we'll probably be stationary for a while. The girls are being so badly behaved. I'm so sorry. But they're bringing me so much joy. They sleep on top of me. And, you know, like they are really my companions as I'm stuck at home. So, you know, I'm doing okay. There's a lot of levity in my life. There's a lot of laughing in my life, because they're kind of derpy occasionally. They're elegant, beautiful creatures, but also kind of, you know, kind of silly. So I'm doing okay. So, oh, this video is already getting a bit longer than I expected it to be. I have definitely rambled. I'm not gonna edit it. I'm saying this to me rather than to you. I'm not gonna. So in terms of what this channel will look like going forwards, some of that is a big question mark to me, if I'm honest. I expect I will disappear for periods again. And I want to say that up front so that, you know, so hopefully you don't worry too much, so that I don't feel too guilty when that happens. But I can say with confidence that I will always come back, because this really fills me up, and I miss you. I feel like I really got to know some of you. We're commenting every time I uploaded a video, and I feel like we really got to know each other, and I, knew what you were knitting, and I want to know how those sweaters are going, and I want to know how you're coping with this difficult year that, I know that lots of you are closer to some of the tricky things happening in the world right now than I am. So I will always come back. One thing I anticipate is that the kind of regular vlog style update videos might be tricky. The videos where, every 2 weeks or so, that's what I was aiming for. I'm not sure I ever really did 2 weeks, but where every 2 weeks or so I show you what I've finished, what I'm working on, and talk through projects in process. I think that just requires a confluence of too many optimum conditions. And it's a bit time sensitive, and I don't know that will be super realistic. One of the cats is really looking at birds. She's being very sweet. So I don't know if that will be very possible. Instead, I think I'll probably do kind of some more project style videos where I show, the process, and maybe do a little bit of talking, but kind of shorter chunks of film that I can splice together. That will be slow. It will, I won't be able to release them until I have the brain power to edit and stuff. So I don't know how frequent that will be. But I've been doing a little tiny bit of that already, and filming in short chunks I think is actually easier, especially because my partner is incredibly patient and lovely and knows how much this fills me up, so he is endlessly happy to help me set up the filming and stuff like that. So project style videos is one thing. I think there are also things like, I still really like talking through my knits in that kind of chatty way. I feel like, I love hearing people talk about what they've learned or what challenges they've encountered and work through those things, and I'm interested in that kind of stuff, so I'm still interested in talking about that. Blocking this shawl, I feel like I hadn't blocked a circular shawl before, and I feel like it taught me some things about blocking. Like, I feel like there's always more to learn, right? And so instead of talking about videos in progress, which is a bit time sensitive, I'm thinking that I might just talk to you about finished objects once in a while. Maybe I'll group some together according to themes, or just talk to you about things that I really enjoyed, or think there's something interesting to mention. But that way it's not time sensitive. Like, maybe I'll talk to you about something, weeks or months after I've finished it, and it will just be out of sync with time, and that will just be okay. I'm all of these things that I'm saying to me more than to you. I want you to know I am aware that I continue to be my biggest critic, and I'm learning. I'm getting better at being easier on myself. But it's not easy. So some roundup videos, some of my priorities in terms of what I'm interested in knitting and what I want to knit, and particularly I feel like before I was really interested in slowing myself down, and after a year of not being able to knit, I'm going to squeeze in as much knitting as I can. I'm not going to worry. I'm going to knit exactly what I want to knit. I'm not interested in slowing myself down. But also my priorities in terms of what I want to wear, things like that. I have real issues with temperature regulation, which is very frustrating. Even my mother was quite shocked at me sitting next to me. I've always been cold, but I've never been warm before, and that is an occasional thing that happens now, very frustratingly. So my priorities about what I want to knit have changed, and I think that might be interesting for me to talk through. I'm interested in those things with other people, just because I'm always interested in how we adapt our homemade wardrobes. Like, that's the whole point, right? Like, is you can adapt it exactly to where you are in your life and what's most useful and what's going to make you the most comfortable and that kind of thing. So I might do some planning videos on days like today where I'm feeling, I'm feeling really good today. I've been talking for 20 minutes and I'm not feeling depleted. So hopefully still some more of that. Some little bullet points of things that I'm going to insist on myself to not worry about. Things like weird staging. This room is in a bit of a weird structure right now because we've moved this is a good chair. It's got good back support. I find couches really difficult right now. I find, like anything like a kitchen chair, out of the question. I can't do that. I've lost a lot of muscle mass. So we've moved this over near the window. It's a bit odd in front of the things it's in front of. I'm not going to care about that. I'm not going to care about staging. I used to declutter before I filmed videos. Never anything major, if I'm honest. I'm just not fast enough to have ever been a really, really set the stage kind of person. I wish I was. I've never been totally good at that kind of thing. But I'd declutter in the way that I would declutter before a friend was coming over. I'm not going to do that anymore. Sometimes when I want to film, my husband wants to do that, and that's great if he wants to do that. I won't say no. He's a bit of a tidier person than I am, but otherwise I'm not going to let myself worry about it. It just doesn't matter enough. And frankly, if it comes down to the energy, it'll be, if I did that, it would be a trade-off of I'm either going to use the energy to declutter or I'm going to film. So I'm always going to pick film. And I'm just gonna tell myself not to care about the clutter. I know that many of you are gonna tell me already that you don't care about the clutter, so it's just me and I need to let it go. Lighting, I've always struggled with light sensitivity. My light sensitivity is occasionally off the charts now, and so there'll be a lot more artificial lighting. Also just a lot more artificial lighting because we get 6 hours of daylight right now, and that requires that I be feeling well during those 6 hours, and that's not always possible. So a lot more artificial lighting, a lot of funky lighting probably. Again, I'm just gonna insist to myself that I don't care. A big one that's a bit of a challenge for me, a bit more filming from bed. I am bedbound. It is harder on me to sit up like this than to sit, I've got a whole host of pillows in bed to keep all of my limbs supported in the best ways, and that one's going to be hard for me. I've done quite a bit of online teaching in the past. I'm obviously not doing any now, but obviously even filming in a bedroom is such a safeguarding concern, never. But I'm doing almost all of my knitting in bed these days, and if I want to film some project videos, there's going to be some filming in bed. So if that makes you uncomfortable, please feel free to duck out. That's, it's not my intention to make anyone uncomfortable, but obviously there's nothing inherently problematic about that, and I just need to let go. I used to train other people in safeguarding, so it's time trouble. I don't want to let that go, but I'm going to let that go. And just less editing, less polished all around. Maybe some days there'll be days that I really struggle and I need to take a lot of breaks, and the lighting will change, and then there will be more editing as I splice together things that I take over a period of time. Other times, like today, I think the best thing is I'm just going to film this. I'm going to leave in the cat's behaving badly. And I'm just going to upload it, and hopefully you bear with me. And if it's not your kind of thing, if you're looking for more polished videos, then, I totally get that. There are no hard feelings. But I think for me, it's important for me to set out loud the things that I'm going to let go of, in order to facilitate all the good things, in order to facilitate filming the videos that I love and that kind of thing. Okay. Do I need to say anything else? I did want to mention that I have a lot of old footage. I had a number of videos that I was really excited about at the beginning of the year that are all filmed. It's all ready. I just haven't edited it. So, again, that'll take me a lot of time probably, but I am hoping to do that. I also have just a lot of, you know, footage that I was gonna add into videos that I might introduce into things. So that might be a bit jarring. There, you know, there might be places where I do seem to be healthier, and then other places where and then I'm just not going to worry about the way that time moves in these videos. You know, I've got some footage that I might intersperse with new footage just to break up the monotony of me always being indoors, me always sitting in kind of the same positions and knitting. So a mix of new and old, different priorities. I'm pretty sure I've said everything I wanted to say there. I did make some notes about this because I felt like I really wanted to think through the things that I am letting go of. Again, I know that many of you are going to say that these are expectations I'm putting on myself, that they are not coming from you, but they're definitely coming from me. So I think it will be helpful for me to have put this out into the internet, so that I've kind of set expectations for myself as much as anything. I'm getting to a place where I'm just going to be repetitive. I do think that I've said everything I wanted to say. If you've listened this long to me rambling, thank you for being here. I really can't overstate how much this kind of connection means to me, how much it means to me to be able to chat out loud and feel like I'm reaching people. You know, I am going to make an effort to go back and answer those comments. I'm sorry, I was just in such a blur for most of the last 10 months. I was seeing, you know, notifications coming through on my phone, but then they disappear, and you know, they built up to a point where it was overwhelming. So if I'm honest, it's still a little bit overwhelming. I'm probably going to be slow, but please know that that's why I haven't answered. It's you know, I feel like when you take the time to make a comment, I want to take the time to acknowledge it and answer. So, you know, please do. Yeah, I also don't want you to feel like, oh, I'm putting pressure on Jenny if I comment. I love the comments, and I love reading the comments. Maybe I'll have to get to a place where I answer in slightly shorter bursts or something. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes going forward. But I really appreciate that, you know, that's an important part of the sense of connection to me. So I hope I haven't made you feel guilty about that. Okay, really rambling now. Thank you so much for joining me and the cats. We have a kind of futon bed over here that's folded up like a couch, and they've both gone to sleep because they realize I'm not going to feed them because we are hours away from that being the time. But they've gone to sleep very sweetly now, and I think they're going to be in the videos a lot because they're just around a lot. And I know that pets in videos are not everyone's thing, but that's definitely going to be a thing. Brings me a lot of joy, and I hope it brings you some joy too to see them behaving so terribly. But if it doesn't, I understand that as well. Oh my gosh, I keep going on. Thank you so much. I will hopefully see you soon. I do have a video that I'm working on that I'm hoping to get out before Christmas. We'll see if that happens. It might not happen, but if it does, I'll see you then. And if not, I will see you next time, because I am definitely coming back. Thanks again.